Happening now on Grid tonight. Some big changes at 2311 Racing. What's the team doing to maximize their chances of fighting for the owner's title? Wayne Taylor Racing doesn't want to repeat of last year and lose the championship at the very last moment, so they're bringing a heavy hitter. Brendon Hartley is a part of their accurate DPI driver lineup at Motul Petit Le Mans. Will Hartley help bring WTR the final DPI title? Matt Weiss here with your weekly Grid history update. And very early Saturday morning, Jeremy Clements was on top of the world after scoring a shock win at Daytona. Since then, his world has come crashing down. Will appealing a significant penalty save Clements' playoff hopes? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish. With me, as always, Adam Limmeries. Next, want to give a shout out to our awesome Patreon supporters. Colin, Mark, Dushell, and Robin, thank you so much for investing in Grid Network. Link to our Patreon in the video description below. Please feel free to comment in the chat room, ask any questions you have, and engage in tonight's discussion. And we're going to kick off tonight's show with the big story that happened in NASCAR. For the remainder of the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season, Bubba Wallace will swap numbers at 2311 Racing, switching from the number 23 to the number 45 Toyota. Thanks to Kurt Busch's win earlier this year at Kansas, this puts the number 45 car in the hunt for the owner's championship. In regards to both 2311 Racing Toyotas, it's literally just a number swap. Bubba's 23 team will become the 45 team, and the 45 team with Ty Gibbs will become the new 23 team until it goes back to normal in 2023. Team president Steve Lauletta said they believe Bubba's experience with this car at the tracks in the final 10 races and his recent jump in performance gives the team the best opportunity at maximizing points and competing for the owner's title. In the photo you see on the screen taken by Logan Riley from Getty Images. Adam, since he's not racing for the Drivers' Championship, is it a smart move to put Bubba Wallace in the number 45 Toyota?
Absolutely, Kobe. It is a smart move by 2311 Racing. They're going out there to win the Owners' Championship and to maximize points. You know, Ty Gibbs has done an incredible job in that car since Kurt Busch had his concussion at Pocono. So I like this move a lot. You know, so I'm I'm glad things will be back to normal for 2023. You know, you know, the Owners' Championship is just as important as the Drivers' Championship in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yes, the Owners' Championship is always really important, but I think this Owners' Championship fight is going to be extremely important for Bubba Wallace because he's going to be getting valuable playoff spirits he wouldn't have gotten before. So he's going to be, so although he's not going to be racing to score a championship for himself as a driver, he's trying to bring a championship to 2311 Racing. Do I see Bubba Wallace bringing home the Owners' Championship this year? No, I don't actually, but I think it's entirely reasonable to think that Bubba Wallace can advance out of the round of 16 and at least get into the round of 12, especially when you consider some of his recent performances lately, especially during this last half of the summer. He's really been turning along, and you throw out a few outliers, then Bubba's been performing the best that we've seen him perform consistently throughout his NASCAR Cup Series career so far, and based on his recent form, if Bubba had that same type of performance all year long, he'd probably be in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs as a driver. So I think 2311 Racing is doing the smart thing here, capitalizing on Bubba Wallace's recent form, and if he continues this well into the future, Bubba may make the playoffs in 2023, and he'll start by getting that experience by competing for an owner's championship, so he can see what it's like to be racing for something when it's all on the line. And with no timeline for a potential return of his teammate Kurt Busch as he continues to recover from a concussion, Ty Gibbs will continue getting experience at the Cup level. But in the number 23 Toyota, Gibbs' main focus is competing for the Xfinity title, obviously with Joe Gibbs Racing, and the additional laps in the Cup car have been very beneficial for him. However, the pressure that comes with being in the playoffs can be intense. Any additional distractions and stress aren't helpful in situations like this the deeper you get in the postseason or on the bubble facing elimination. Did 2311 Racing do the right thing by taking all the pressure off Ty Gibbs at the Cup level?
Absolutely, Kobe. Ty Gibbs, like I said, Ty Gibbs has done an incredible job. You know, in the number 45 car. for 2311 Racing, but he's not there. He's not there to compete for a drivers' championship. He's there to gain experience. He can go out there and get wins, top fives and top tens, and who knows, with his experience, could we see Ty Gibbs in the NASCAR Cup Series within the next 3 to 5 years? I'm going to say yes. So, this takes a whole lot of pressure off of Ty Gibbs, knowing that he can go out there and just relax and enjoy competing in the NASCAR Cup Series while competing for an Xfinity Championship as well.
I'm actually going to shorten your timeline a little bit, Adam. I think we could see Ty Gibbs racing in the NASCAR Cup Series as soon as next year, full time, depending on what happens with Kyle Busch's contract situation. Obviously, if Kurt Busch is going to be fit enough to continue his racing career as well in the 2023. But I think right now the chances of seeing Ty Gibbs racing full time at the Cup level next year are extremely, extremely high. But I do agree that 2311 Racing is doing the right thing, so Ty can just solely focus on winning the Xfinity title and continue logging laps in the Cup car that he'll need in the future. The last thing you want is Ty Gibbs to get distracted with the Cup ride by trying to bring Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, and owners championship while also trying to balance that with his Xfinity schedule, and that can be a lot of pressure, especially for a young driver who hasn't been in these situations before. Especially in the NASCAR playoff format. So I think it's really important that Ty Gibbs gets the playoff experience in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, along with running the additional laps. But with Ty being a young, inexperienced driver, still, it's a smart move by whoever made the call, Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs, Toyota, whoever made the call here. I think they're looking out for Ty Gibbs's best interest, so he doesn't overwhelm himself.
And let us know in the comments: does Ty Gibbs go full-time racing in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2023? And now to some news from down under in Australia. Grove Racing driver Lee Holdsworth announced that he'll be retiring from full-time competition in the Repco Supercross Championship at the end of the 2022 season. In a statement, the driver known as Lethal took some time to think about it and decided it's time to call it a day as a full-time Supercross driver. In a career that has spanned 17 years. That's right, 17 years. Holdsworth has 4 wins, with one of the biggest of his career coming last year, taking home the Peter Brock Trophy at the Bathurst 1000 with co-driver Chaz Monster. This helped him return to full-time competition this year and go out on his own terms. Like he said, this requires huge sacrifices over the years, hard work, commitment from his family. So there's a moment when you realize it's time. Holdsworth admitted that there were opportunities to continue to race full-time in supercars. However, he feels the time is right to begin his future away from racing, spending time with his wife and kids. He thanked everyone who has supported him throughout his racing career, especially Rob Smith and Gary Rogers for taking a chance on him and giving him a start in supercars. After competing in over 500 supercars races, he called his Bathurst 1000 victory the pinnacle of his time in the sport. For the remainder of the 2022 season, Holdsworth intends to give it his all in the number 10 Ben Wright Ford Mustang, delivering the best results possible for the team, his sponsors, and everyone to make this all possible. In the end, he thanked Grow Racing for giving him one last shot to race full-time in supercars and gave us a glimpse into the future after the 2022 season. He plans to further his career with CBRE Commercial Real Estate and return to racing in 2023, but only as a co-driver for the Bathurst 1000 and the graphic you see on the screen, courtesy of Lee Holsworth. Next, here's Kobe with some news about a talented sports car driver joining a talented sports car team for one of IMSA's biggest races of the season.
Holding a 19-point DPI championship lead over Meyer Shank Racing, entering the season in a 10-hour endurance race at Motul Petit Le Mans, Wayne Taylor Racing pulled a trick out of its sleeve to give themselves the best chance at winning the title. Ricky Taylor and Filipe Albuquerque need all the help they can get, so the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura DPI is getting a new co-driver at Road Atlanta, replacing Will Stevens. And the driver lineup is FA World Endurance Championship Toyota Gazoo Racing hypercar driver Brendon Hartley, who also has previous experience in Formula One. Hartley is no stranger to IMSA Racing or Petit Le Mans, who will be making his fourth start in the 10-hour event. And the graphic you see on the screen, courtesy of Wayne Taylor Racing. Is the addition of Brendon Hartley to Wayne Taylor Racing's driver lineup sending a strong message to Meyer Shank Racing?
Oh yeah, Kobe. It says game on for the IMSA DPI Championship. With this move, right now, Wayne Taylor Racing has got to feel good. Bringing in a talented driver like Brendon Hartley, who, like you said, who has competed in Formula One and has raced in some of the biggest sports car races in the world. And he's raced here at the Motul Petit Le Mans, so he knows what it's like to drive in this 10-hour endurance race. So now, Meyer Shank Racing, you'd think they'd counter with someone after this news. So it's game on for the season finale in the IMSA DPI category.
I have to admit, Adam, when I saw this news, I was like, whoa. That's a big move to bring Brendon Hartley in. Brendon Hartley's been one of the top prototype drivers in the world for a long time now. Even before he went, to do that brief stint for the AlphaTauri team, it was at Toro Rosso, when it was called Toro Rosso. That's when Brendon Hartley was in Formula One. But Brendon Hartley is highly regarded in the sports car racing world, both before and after his brief F1 career. And I think that this is a really strong move for Wayne Taylor Racing. No disrespect to Will Stevens. Will Stevens is a really quick race car driver within himself. But when you have the opportunity to sign a Brendon Hartley to bring him on board, he's the guy you really want on your team. He's extremely quick. He rarely makes mistakes on the racetrack, and that's the one thing that Wayne Taylor doesn't want to see is mistakes. And we've seen in the past at Wayne Taylor Racing, some of these big endurance races, mistakes have really cost him a lot. And last year, there was nothing they could really do at the end when the 10 and the 31 DPIs were battling for the championship. After 10 hours going to championship, going down to the very final corner, that was just hard racing right there. But they want to make sure that they're certainly going to be on top, and I believe that Brendon Hartley gives them the best opportunity to win. And I know in other sports, when we're like talking about football, basketball, when especially focused on the NFL, a coach will announce that this guy is my starting quarterback because he gives us the best chance to win football games and go to the postseason potentially. And I see this as there's that same thing as what Wayne Taylor's doing. Brendon Hartley gives Wayne Taylor Racing the best shot to take the fight to Meyer Shank Racing and win that final IMSA DPI championship. And Petit Le Mans is always an incredible event, and we're going to be looking forward to this year's IMSA season finale as always. And next, some news coming out of Formula E. The Avalanche Andretti Formula E team re-signed driver Jake Dennis to a multi-year contract extension, bringing him back for season 9 and beyond. This partnership continues after beginning their relationship in 2020 winning 2 races in his debut season and finished third in the championship. In a season that just wrapped up, Dennis finished sixth in points and won a single race at the London E-Prix. There's no word on the status of the other Andretti Formula E driver Oliver Askew yet, but the confirmation of Dennis returning is positive news for the team. They'll continue growing together into the third generation of Formula E with Andretti switching to the Porsche powertrain, the graphic you see on the screen, courtesy of Avalanche Andretti. Next, here's Matt White with a grid history update.
Everyone, Matt White here. It's that time of the week again where we take a swing around the motorsport world to bring you up to date with the results that you may have missed from what was a busy weekend across Europe and the world. And here in the UK, it was Bank Holiday, which meant we had British Superbike in its traditional Bank Holiday slot on the Monday at Cadwell Park. There was a race on Sunday that was won by Bradley Ray. Danny Buchan breaking through for his first and then second wins of the season aboard the BMW on Monday at Cadwell Park. NASCAR coming down to the crunch. They're going to start racing for this thing over my shoulder over the next few weeks. We'll start at Darlington this week. At Daytona, though, over the weekend, Austin Dillon booked his place in the NASCAR playoffs with that win on Sunday afternoon after the rain delay. Jeremy Clemens winning in the Xfinity Series race. Keeps the win, but the car did fail post-race inspection as we brought you over the weekend. It's back in the UK at Thruxton for the second time this season for British Touring Cars. Dan Camish and Ash Sutton getting a win each for the two Napa-sponsored Ford Focuses, and Josh Cook getting the win in the third race. 2 visits to Thruxton for British Touring Cars this year. 6 races, and Josh Cook has won 3 of those 6 races. At Spa over the weekend, Formula 1 was back after their summer break, and Max Verstappen dominated to take another win there. Championship surely one hand on it now for Max. F2 and F3 in action. In F2, Liam Lawson and Jack Doohan got a win each. And in the Formula 3 races, Ollie Behrman and Zane Maloney, the Barbadian, getting a win on the Sunday after that big crash on Saturday. So good bounce back for him. A couple of races in the Endurance Performance Index over the weekend. We'll start at the Nürburgring, where on Saturday afternoon the race was actually postponed because of fog in the middle of August. It got underway eventually, and Sheldon van der Linde got his second win of the season for BMW. Lucas Stoltz winning the Sunday afternoon race for Mercedes. Also in Europe at Barcelona over the weekend, the European Le Mans Series were in action, and it was a second win of the season for the Prema team of Lorenzo Colombo, Ferdinand Habsburg and Louis Delatraz in LMP2, and winning that race overall. In LMP3, Nico Pino, CR Cruz and Guilherme Oliveira getting their second win of the season, and the Porsche Proton team won in GTE. Christian Ried, Gianmaria Bruni and Lorenzo Ferrari, driving a Porsche, getting the win. In IMSA over the weekend, we had the GT-only race at VIR, Virginia International Raceway, won by Matt Campbell and Matt Jaminet for the FAF team. They pretty much got one hand on the trophy themselves in that category. All they need to do is roll off the start line pretty much at Road Atlanta in a few weeks' time to grab that championship. Russell Ward and Filipe, who won both races last week in GT World Challenge USA, won the GTD portion of the race. That's 3 wins in 2 weekends for them, giving them a boost up the championship of the EPI. We'll have to take a look at the standings shortly, but after we've told you about what happened in Super GT at Suzuka, where Kazuki Hiromine and Bertrand Baguette won in GT 500, and at Noburetsu Taniguchi and Tatsuya Katoka won in GT 300. Raffaele Marciello still tops the Endurance Performance Index standings. He had a week off this week and didn't take on any races. His closest challenger, Jules Gounon, could only manage 6th in that GTD race at VIR, so nibbled a few points out of the lead, but really didn't make any dent. Top 3 all in action, 4 of the top 5 in action this coming weekend as the GT World Challenge Europe heads back to Hockenheim for a 3-hour race. That's the last Endurance Cup race of the season. Ben Barnicoat, the Lexus driver, he jumps up to 4th in the EPI after a good weekend. He came 2nd along with Jack Hawksworth over the weekend. Mara Engels 6th, didn't score any points at all in the 2 DTM races over the weekend, unfortunately. Matthew Jaminet there in 7th after his win, and Matt Campbell jumping up into 10th place overall. That Hockenheim race this weekend is the headline for the Endurance Performance Index. We've got Darlington, as they start to race for this thing, over the weekend, as well as Southern 500, and F1 travels to Zandvoort. We'll bring you all the results from all of the races in this segment on next week's show.
Thank you, Matt. And just a few days ago, the NASCAR Xfinity Series saw an underdog team and driver go to victory lane at Daytona? Jeremy Clements. There were lots of celebrating on the number 51 team, thinking they had turned around a disappointing season on their way to the playoffs. Not so fast. Yesterday, NASCAR handed Jeremy Clements a L2 level penalty, following sections 14.612 K and U of the NASCAR rulebook, which is related to the intake manifold. This, excuse me, this means Clements gets to keep the Daytona win, but it will no longer count towards playoff eligibility. So Clements will need to find victory lane again if he wants a spot in the postseason, with only a few races to go till the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. In addition, his crew chief, Mark Setzer, has been fined $60,000, including the loss of 75 owner points, 75 driver points, and 10 playoff points if Clemens wins another race before the postseason begins. And the photo you see right here on the screen, taken by James Gilbert from Getty Images. And we got some more news today from Jeremy Clements, announcing his team is going to be filing an appeal. As you can see here in the statement, in response to the penalty NASCAR announced yesterday, we have filed a notice of appeal. During NASCAR's teardown process of our Daytona engine, our intake manifold was found to be too short from the carburetor face to the bottom of the plenum. This deviation restricts power to the motor, eliminating any positive impact to the motor's performance. We're appreciative of NASCAR's thorough inspection process and look forward to the opportunity to have our voice heard. We appreciate the continued support of our fans and partners as we allow the process to play out. So right there, Jeremy Clements' team, following an appeal, they want to stay playoff eligible because that would be huge for that team to make the postseason. So Adam, how devastating is this for Jeremy Clements and his team if they don't come out on top with this appeal?
Kobe, it's devastating. It's like getting punched in the stomach. Jeremy Clements' team is not, they're not College Racing. They're not Team Penske. They're an underdog team. You could sort of say they're an independent team in the Xfinity Series. They don't have a lot of money, so that so if they lose this appeal, it's going to hurt them a lot, emotionally and probably financially as well. So hopefully Jeremy Clements can win this appeal, and you got to feel for this team after what happened. They were on top in Daytona, and now they've hit rock bottom. Hopefully they can win this appeal.
Yeah, their whole season is literally riding on winning this appeal, and it really just goes to show in sports you can reach the highest of the highs one moment, and then the very next moment you hit the lowest of the lows. And that number 51 Jeremy Clements racing team certainly hit an all-time low, and they'd be the first ones to tell you that their performance this year has taken a step back than what we've seen from them in recent years. So this would have been absolutely huge for them, getting this win at Daytona, and I'm sure it still holds significant meaning for Jeremy winning on the exact same day, 5 years apart after winning at Road America, then at the World Center Racing on the high banks of Daytona, and to have it taken away from you like this is definitely a major blow and a punch to the gut. I can't imagine how Jeremy Clements must have felt when he got the news that NASCAR was going to be handing him an L2 level penalty, and the best thing they can do is just stay positive, keep their heads held high, and hope that NASCAR is going to see their perspective and decide to restore their playoff eligibility. And if not, just super unfortunate, and just have to try to salvage what's left of the 2022 NASCAR Xfinity Series season. And taking a closer look at the L2 level penalty, it's basically the same rule NASCAR had in the past, but it was referred to as encumbered. You keep the win, but you don't get any benefits from winning that race. During the time of the encumbered era, before NASCAR brought the heavier penalties we have this year, there was a lot of criticism over it because NASCAR felt, a lot of people felt that disqualifications were necessary in NASCAR. Now those disqualifications exist in NASCAR. It happened recently at Pocono Raceway when the first and second place finishers, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, were disqualified, promoting Chase Elliott in third place. To the win, Timmy Hill finished second to Jeremy Clements at Daytona, and some people believe he should have been given the race victory, but under the L2 level penalty, sorry for all you Timmy Hill fans out there, that's not possible. An L1 level penalty would have meant a victory for Hill, though, and MBM Motorsports. remember, NASCAR introduced its new structure of penalties at the start of the 2022 season. So here's my question for you. Did NASCAR get the penalty structure correct for the most part, or is it still just a little bit complicated?
I think this penalty structure is correct. You know, uh, um, they're you know, what NASCAR did, regarding this L2 penalty, I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect, for it. And so I think that I think the I think this I think the L2 penalty structure is correct.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Adam. It's really hard to argue against it because NASCAR followed the rule book here. They found something they didn't like with Jeremy Clement's car, and they decided they fit the criteria for L2 level penalty. And I guess it just stings a lot more since Jeremy Clement's team, is a small independent team. They don't have the same resources as you see with the other Chevrolet teams like Colic Racing, as you were mentioning. Junior Motorsports, Richard Childress Racing, they just don't have that type of equipment. And they make the most of what they have, make a lot with very little. So you certainly feel for Jeremy Clements and his entire NASCAR Xfinity Series organization. It really hits harder when it's an underdog like that. But at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, and unfortunately, Jeremy Clements Racing didn't fall in line with it this time.
Yep. And now to some even more news from down under in Australia. Former F1 race director Michael Massey, yeah, that Michael Massey, has been appointed to the Repco Supercars Championship Commission as the new independent chair, effective immediately. Massey makes his return to Supercars after previously serving as the race director of the Dunlop Super 2 Series in 2015. Massey's excited to be back in Supercars, saying the new Gen 3 cars coming up next year played a factor in his decision to accept this position. Replacing Neil Crompton on the commission, Massey will begin working next weekend at the ITM Auckland Super Sprint at Pukekohe Park Raceway in New Zealand. And the photo you see on the screen, courtesy of Supercars. Another edition of Grid Tonight is in the books, so here's Colby with the wrap-up.
Yeah, that's it for another edition of Grid Tonight. Please be sure to like and subscribe to Grid Network here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We certainly encourage you to take 5 minutes after our program tonight and consider joining our Patreon, Invest in Grid Network to keep us on the air well into the future. Do you want to buy me a coffee? Click the link in the video description below and you can buy a drink for your favorite on-air talent here at Grid Network. And also want to give a big thank you to Edward Hunter from Formula Zone, Amber and Zachary for buying us one. We greatly appreciate it. Any amount will help us continue growing our motorsports media outlet. Visit public.com, also known as the stock market social media home. The link below and referral code GRIDnet gives you $5 to invest immediately. Public.com allows you to connect with your friends. You can make new friends and use tools to learn how to invest in the stock market. And looking at our schedule for this week, a very busy schedule. Check out a new episode of Women in Motorsports tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be substituting for Joe Samniego. I'll be joining regular co-host Daniel Zuri from Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet. And also be sure to check out our website, gridranking.com. We'll be putting together several articles this week related to the NTT IndyCar Series Grand Prix of Portland. We'll have a lot of content, articles, our regular programs here on YouTube. So be sure you don't miss any of that. Then Saturday, our regular Grid Live pre-race show at noon Eastern. Then a special IndyCar pre-race show on Sunday, also at noon Eastern, to preview the Grand Prix of Portland. Then Grid Live wrap up with the NASCAR Cup Series Southern 500 at Darlington taking place on Sunday night. We'll have the show on Monday, Labor Day, at noon Eastern. So we're going to be extremely busy all week long here at Grid Network. For Adam Limmeries, I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.